What's the dumbest thing someone has ever told you? I was going 30 miles an hour in a 30 zone. The police station is on the street, so I'm always super cautious there. Anyway, an officer pulled me over and claimed I was going 50. I got his dashcam footage. Clearly showed me not speeding, but part of the footage, you can see the police officer going 40 miles an hour to catch up to me. Someone defended the officer by saying, if you were really going 30, then why did the officer have to drive 40 miles an hour to catch up to you? I'm like, I'm going to assume you're joking here, but by some bizarre circumstances that you're actually being serious, in order to catch up to anything, you have to be going faster than it. If I was going 50, he would have never caught up by going 40. Oh man, this guy's going 90 miles an hour. Oh, never mind, the speedometer's just upside down. I once found a big bulldog in my backyard. I don't even own a bulldog. He was a big, friendly, but slow-witted guy. He looked healthy and had a collar, but no tags, so I knew he was a local. I made sure he had water and went to the front yard to start knocking on doors. As soon as I stepped outside, I saw the family 3 houses down all gathered in their front yard. So another case closed for our young detective. I walked over to them and said, "You guys missing a bulldog?" The mother looked at me and said, "Is his name Tyson?" The question took me aback. I mean, he didn't have tags. They knew he didn't have tags. So all I could think was, he didn't say, but I'm pretty sure he's yours. To this day, I wonder if that woman knew how dumb that question was. Ah, well, the dog didn't really look like a Tyson to me, so maybe I'm thinking of the wrong dog. That they thought Mount Rushmore was a natural wonder. They literally thought it appeared in nature that way. Well, duh, how do you think we knew to elect those guys as presidents? When they were born, and they looked just like the guys on the mountains, then we knew they were the chosen ones. When the directions on a microwave meal say to keep the item in the microwave for some time after finishing, it's to allow the extra microwaves to get out of that food so it doesn't hurt you. Well, they do say that microwaves can cause cancer, so that it's basically just microwaves are just pushing cancer into your food, and you have to wait for the cancer to leak out of the food before you can eat it. My aunt argued with me that humans have 2 hearts, one on each side. She didn't know the difference between heart and lungs. Yeah, can you believe there's more than one vital organ going on in there? We had a team lunch some years ago, and I ended up in a conversation with one of our account managers. A woman in her 30s who worked for a multi-million-pound company. She insisted that the sun was the same size and distance as the moon, and the stars were asteroids falling to Earth. This was long before the whole flat Earth idiocy kicked off, and to this day stands out as the most astonishingly ignorant thing I've ever heard. You know, you'd think that if the sun and the moon were the same size and distance from the Earth, that the moon would probably have just as strong of an impact as the sun in one way or another. Maybe the sun is giving us all of our heat, and the moon is balancing that out by giving us all of our cold. My 3rd grade teacher told me that I had spelled grateful incorrectly and proceeded to mock me. Are you talking about a cheese grater here? It's spelled G-R-E-A-T, full. Ah, well, teachers are always right, so I guess we just need to change the dictionary now. A guy at work told me that STDs were created by people having multiple sexual partners. When I pointed out that you could have a group of people that slept together, and if none of them had any diseases, they wouldn't catch anything, he just shook his head and told me, that's not how it works. Yeah, but I mean, like, the disease has to start somewhere though, right? If you can only catch it from somebody who already had it, then where did it start? He had a teacher tell our class that it can't rain over water. She proceeded to tell us that if the clouds are over water, they will just wait until they were over land so it doesn't waste water. Yeah, that darn water cycle on Earth is just so wasteful. It just keeps putting water up and then pushing it back down like, what's the point? A girl told me she couldn't sunburn because there was too much wind. Same girl insisted that she would become a doctor. I asked why she thought she couldn't tan or sunburn if there was a breeze with a clear sky and 100 degrees Fahrenheit weather. She explained that the wind would cause her to not sweat, so she wouldn't tan. You know, I was kind of expecting her to say something along the lines of, oh, the wind just blows the UV rays away so they can't focus on your skin. But her explanation made even less sense than that. A coworker once told me after a storm, I got to work twice as fast this morning because all the traffic lights were out. The only reason they lived was because everyone else on the road knew the traffic lights default to an always stop when they're out. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. People were treating me like I was an ambulance. They just let me run right through every single light. It's dangerous to listen to your own heartbeat with a stethoscope. They said your heart will try to match what you heard, and that will, in effect, stop your heart. There was no explanation given when asked why medical personnel didn't have issues listening to patients with heartbeat irregularities. Man, even by their own explanation, this doesn't make any sense, because if you are listening to your own heartbeat, and your heartbeat wants to match what you're listening to, then isn't it just matching it to itself? Like, what would that even do? If anything, it would be more dangerous to use the stethoscope on a dead person, because then you'd be hearing no heartbeat, and then your heart would try to match nothing. I once had a coworker acquaintance who was about to get married tell me that he was already planning to cheat on his wife. Not that he already had someone lined up, but that he would find someone just to cheat with. Why? Because 50% of spouses have affairs, and that since it was him, it wouldn't be her. Yeah, okay, I mean, there's some sound logic right there, but I think he might need to take a statistics class. Cold pizza is healthier because it's not greasy. Cold pizza is an abomination. Like, there's no reason to not just throw it in the microwave for 30 seconds. It will make it 10 times better. A girl I know got a nose job. When I complimented her on her new look, she said, "I didn't do it for me. I didn't want my kids to be born with big noses." Oh, okay, well, I wish you the best then. It's really dangerous to take only half an ecstasy pill. Sometimes the pills aren't actually ecstasy. It's like 50% speed and 50% heroin. So if you only take half, you might accidentally take just the speed or just the heroin half, which makes it way more dangerous. Man, there are so many things to take away from this post, but I think that the funniest part is that they just assume that heroin is less dangerous if you also do speed along with it. I was once making small talk with an acquaintance, and I told her I'd flown out to visit my family in Korea over the summer. She got this smug grin on her face and said, "You can't fly to Korea, it's an island." You know, it always amazes me when somebody manages to make 3 incorrect statements in just 2 sentences. You should get off your tablet while it's storming. Lightning can travel through the Wi-Fi and shock you. From my mother. Yeah, even the dang lightning's going wireless. When someone said their food was too hot, a friend said to put it in the microwave on defrost to cool it down. I don't think that'll work, but maybe microwaves need to have an option for undefrost. We were in the car, and an ambulance passed us with the lights on. My friend turned to me with a very serious look on her face and says, "If you were a blind and deaf car driver, how would you know to pull over for an ambulance?" This became my senior quote. See, this is why Helen Keller failed her driving test. A friend was totally confident he would be able to survive a plane crash because of his tuck and roll technique. He was 100% sober. Yeah, just use the plane explosion to blow you out to safety. I don't worry about the price of gas going up. I only ever put $20 in at a time. I wonder if he's figured out the problem with that statement right now. Here in the UK, we get a lot of American kids shows, especially big ones like SpongeBob, Animaniacs, etc. These shows normally have a 4th of July special about the Declaration and War of Independence. With that as a topic of conversation, this is genuinely a discussion I had with someone when we were 14. I say, The Simpsons made a joke about that during the 4th of July episode. My friend said, "Yeah, I watched that one. The British sound like dicks." Come again? You know, the British. The guys they always talk about when they do that kind of specials. I bet we could take them. I say, Daniel, what country do we live in? England. Cue very quick explanation of British geography, with Daniel refusing to believe that he was British until he went home and asked his mum. Oh man, that must have been hard to hear. I can't imagine what I would think if I found out I was British. Years ago, while working at a cafe, a couple came up to me and asked if Saddam Hussein was Russian. The Iraq War had just begun, so I snickered and said, "Of course not." The boyfriend turned to his girlfriend with a smug, victorious look and said, "See, I told you he was German." Yeah, I mean, Germans and Russians, they're pretty much the only bad guys Americans have ever been against, right? I used to work at Best Buy, and I had a customer, a lady in her 30s, come in with her plasma television on the flat cart. She says, "I need the plasma refill." So I give the old customer service fake laugh because I thought it had to be a joke. But the look on her face and pissed tone showed that she was serious. I took her to the home theater department, and from a distance I can hear her going off about plasma refill prices. Or shouldn't the warranty cover the plasma? See, this is why we don't buy plasma TVs anymore, because the plasma used to just leak all over out of the TVs, and it would just get all over the floor, and then it was just way too difficult to fill it back up. A drive-thru girl heard me speaking my language on the phone when I was waiting for my food, and she kept saying it was cool that I was bilateral. I asked if she was referring to triangles or something, but she said, "No, bilateral, like a person." Yeah, who did you think I was talking to, Triangle Man? I had a guy in a pub, completely adamant to the point of red-faced anger, swearing on the Bible that you can see New York from the Donegal coast on a good clear day. I was in tears laughing. Yeah, well, I guess if the air is really clear enough, you can bend light and see over curves. Italy should sell the Eiffel Tower to help Greece's debt. He was serious, too. Well, that was very nice of you, Italy, to want to help your friend Greece out, but France would like to have a word with you. Oh man, I've got a better one. So I was on the phone with those scam guys who try to tell you that they work for Microsoft to get you to download their sleazy program and take your money. I was messing with the dude, playing dumb, telling him I have no idea how my laptop has a virus. He assured me it did, so I continued to tell him that my laptop was actually still in the box, and I haven't even turned it on yet. Then the guy comes back with, "No ma'am, the virus isn't in your computer, the virus is in your internet." I ended up laughing in his face before telling him I couldn't continue the conversation and hung up on him. Yeah, that virus is just sitting on your router waiting for a computer to connect to it. It's gonna climb right on your computer as soon as you turn it on. So my, at the time, 22-year-old girlfriend tried to convince me that thunder was made by clouds crashing into each other. I laughed until I realized she was completely serious. You know, in a very indirect sort of way, it's kinda true, I guess. Working in retail, a customer came up to me and said in a very angry tone, "What is that noise? You need to tell your manager to fix whatever that is." That's rain. It's raining outside, lady. Oh boy, well, I guess it's time to end another episode of Stupidest Things People Have Ever Said. You know, sometimes the stupid things people say are just the most creative and bizarre things I've ever heard. So maybe we're a little too hard on criticizing them sometimes.